Hello, my name is Kathy Crothers, and I'm very happy to be speaking today about kids have stress too. This is a wonderful workshop that has been designed, um, written by the Psychology Foundation of Canada. Our last series, in our last segment, we ended by talking about how every child needs a champion in their world. So today, I'd like to bring a quote to you. Um, we all belong to a tribe. Every one of us belongs to a tribe. What's very important to remember is that it's just not the same tribe every day. When I say it takes a village to raise a child, I mean uh, we're all we're all aware that it takes many people to help in the upbringing and well-being of children. The more children that love ours, the better off they'll be. So what we're going to start today is talking about what are the stressors. What are children's stressors? We talked about them last segment, and what we want to do is just reiterate that there's a difference between everyday stress or toxic stress. The everyday stress might not might look very different from January till now. We know that change, transitioning, um, being overrushed, um, fighting with their siblings or cousins. Um, we know that newness, separation from parents, all bring stress to a child. Toxic stress, of course, is more severe, but it's also chronic. It's also stress that um, is difficult for most people to work with, and that we have a responsibility. I mean, the village has a responsibility to um, help the children cope with it. We want some resilience um, instilled in the children so that the bumps along the road can become smoother faster. Resilience is the bounce back. You've been stressed, you have stress, and we want to help the children bounce back from it. So let's talk about stress or anxiety. So stress is usually a response to one or two external events, like the stressors we mentioned earlier. And anxiety, on the other hand, is when kids become unreasonably fearful of situation which objectively shouldn't really cause that much thought. Maybe they're not dangerous or as dangerous as they imagine, them to be. Anxiety is an extreme response to situations they face every day, like phobia, like a phobia. Maybe it's a fear of the dark or a fear of dogs. Or being separated. We are going to face this. Once we get back to our new normal, we are going to experience children having fear of being separated from their parents because of our situation. That would almost be normal stressor, but it may be and cause a lot of anxiety for many, many children. So these uncontrollable worries or anxieties often come with social situations. So anxiety really becomes a problem for children when it starts to interfere in their lives. I want you to remember that these anxieties are very real to the children. Very, very real. One of my daughters had been bitten by 2 dogs just as she was running across the floor in a day home. And from that moment on, her fear of dogs was so real. It was an anxiety where she'd say, I can't walk that way to my friend's place in our crescent because their dog's going to get me. So we had to do a lot of work. I knew that dog wasn't going to get her. He couldn't get out of the fence. So building her up to realize that not every dog was going to bite her. Not all dogs bite. Just because she's walking in that direction, it doesn't mean a dog's going to bite. That's just an example. Anxiety is when a child is constantly seeking abnormal amounts of reassurance. When you know, as an adult, parent, caregiver, that you have really went out of your way to reassure and that anxiety comes back, that's how you know it's not stress, it's anxiety. Your child, another indicator is that your child is showing symptoms of stress and is clearly not doing well. So, in a way to build resilience is to communicate about those anxieties. So let's first of all, let's look at the signs that a child may be overstressed. So in preschoolers, the best indicator is a tantrum. That's a kind of a stress response, often due to a combination. So it might be that they've spilt their cereal, they've had a late night, so that's a combination, very relevant combination, right? Late night, spill their cereal, wow. An overreaction is easily had, right? So one way that I like to explain this is when you're trying to determine signs, I want you to think of HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Sometimes when I find myself being over expectant um, or puzzled, curious as to why a child might be exhibiting signs of stress, I find myself thinking, halt, Kathy. First of all, am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? And then if maybe I'm hungry, angry, lonely, and tired, and not seeing the child's stress, as clearly as I could. Then I move to the child. Is the little guy hungry? Is he lonely? Is he hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? So hungry is self-explanatory. And I want you to think about, have they eaten at their same times? Is there something in their diet they might be missing? Then I want you also to think of angry. Are they angry? So have there been agitators along the way? Have there been like agitators as in maybe the sun, too much sun, not a hat? Um, Maybe their bigger brother has been teasing and they've been bullied, or, excuse me, had too much iPad time. Uh, those are contributors to angry. Lonely. Let's think about lonely. We're all lonely in this COVID time. Are they missing grandma? I hope so. Are they missing getting together with their friends? Are they missing physical connection? Are they hoping for a hug? And mom and dad, they're busy. They're trying to navigate through the newness. Lonely can be for their stuffed tiger or the smell of their blankie. Lonely isn't just that they're missing something, they're longing for something. And tired. Tired goes with not enough sleep. Perhaps they're fatigued because they haven't had enough exercise. Maybe they're fatigued because you've been outside all day and you've been running through the sprinkler. You've been talking to friends over the fence. Tired can take on a few different ways. So that's how I start with looking at signs of overstressed kids. Let's look at some others. Reoccurring headaches, tummy aches, neck pain, increased irritability, where normally a situation wouldn't send them over the edge. Now it is. Sadness, panic, anger, anxiety. Let's think about habits. Maybe nail biting, hair twisting, thumb sucking. And then there's a pattern of overreacting to smaller problems, yelling, crying, shutting down. Oh, this is a good one. Trouble eating or relaxing or sleeping. Unusual sleep patterns, nightmares, clinginess, increased dependency, usually low energy, unusually low energy. Or the opposite. Maybe they're very high energy. Maybe Restlessness, and here's something big, going back to less mature behavior. So then we have some physical problems such as biting, kicking, poor listening, acting out, impulsiveness, increased whining, crying, fighting, and becoming withdrawn and listlessness. Uh, I want to uh, um, bring a another way of looking at communication. Let's talk about stress and anxiety. And I have all the faith in the world that most of you are doing a really, really good job at communicating with your children. So take some of these strategies or this conversation as another tool for your toolbox. What it's called is stop, look, and listen. It's important to know what bothers your children. It's important that you know what bothers your child and don't wait until you think they're stressed. So the stop is know what bothers them. Look, are they stressed? You know what the signs are. You know you're the professional of your child. And then the lesson part comes with talking to them when they're calm, after the storm. What makes you worry? What worries you? Listen carefully. Listen with the intention of learning. Try not to finish their sentences or interrupt. Stop, look, and listen. That's after you've halted. So when you're stopping, try to think of a time when you can give your whole self, that you have the time to listen. You have the time to listen. And many parents find that the time to listen, or their best time to listen, is when they're doing everyday chores. Maybe washing dishes or folding clothes. Maybe it's when you're riding a bike and you're riding side by side. You're going for a walk. I always found the best time to talk was either when we were riding in the car or at bedtime. They sure like to talk at bedtime. Any quiet time during the day will work. So getting your timing right. Get your timing right. Timing is everything. What you want to do is find a time when you're relaxed, especially when you're relaxed. And set the climate. Set the climate for this. You might say, I know there are things that upset you, and I'd like to learn about those. I'd like you to teach me what bothers you or upsets you. Whatever you do, give them time to finish. Don't interrupt them, and encourage them. Do some active listening. So go, maybe it's like, With my grandson, it's the raise of the eyebrow. Show them you're listening. Now look. Stop, look, after you've halted. So when you're looking, make sure that you're checking their face. Always looking for eye contact. I use this raising my own family, and I certainly use it with the grand boys now. I'll say, look at my eyes. Look at my eyes, will you please? I want to ask you, how are you doing, buddy? And get down to their level. Whatever you do during the day, make sure you're getting down to their level. When you come down to their level, you can see the world as they see it. So when you're down to their level and you ask them to look into their eyes, you're actually being egalitarian and reciprocal. It's called serve and return. So they serve, they tell you, I'm okay, Grandma. I'm okay, Mommy. And then you return and you say, are you feeling okay? And maybe they'll say, I have a tummy ache. It's then you can look for other clues. Go back to the halt. Have they had enough water? Have they had enough sleep? Have they had the proper things to eat? And you know what bothers them because you've talked about it already, right? When you're looking with your child and you're asking them to look into their eyes, and they're looking over here, they're not paying attention, or they can't pay attention to what you're saying, that's an indicator. Now, stop, look, and listen. We've talked about active listening. We've talked about giving them a nod, giving them the eyebrow, giving them a wink, a smile, a concerned face. Remember, the tongue works slower than the mind. And sometimes it takes forever for a child to get out what they want to say. And it can even take longer when a little person is trying their hardest to talk about something that's very, very difficult. And something they're worried that you are not going to be happy with. So give them the time. Don't interrupt. Active listening, right? And let them say it in their own words. Words are very, 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 very important. What you want to look for is the emotion in the words they choose. So, if they're saying, I'm mad, or I'm sad, or I'm frustrated, those are emotions that they're giving you the answers. So, 2 things for your toolbox is halt and stop, look, and listen. The next thing that I want to talk about is some strategies in helping children learn how to manage their stress. So let's think about drawing some links to some familiar concepts. So if we want children to learn new ideas and new skills to something they already understand, that's setting them up for success. So, um, uh, say a child, when they're running, they notice they get out of breath, and their breathing is different when they're resting. So, when we want them to manage their stress, when with breathing, we can draw that link. Remember when you're running really fast? And that's what it feels like when you're really stressed out. Well, let's think about how you're breathing when you're resting or you're relaxing or you're watching your favorite show. Uh, be treat yourself. Treat yourself. Be very, very aware of developmental stages. Given the large range of developmental differences and capacities in children between the ages of, say, 2 and 6, activities need to be adapted and customized for the individual child. So if you have a 3-year-old and you have a 5.5-year-old, uh, you'll have to be aware that those differences can add stress. Plan for variations in those differences ahead of time. So if you're doing an activity, you've already thought out how you can make it more challenging for the older child. Okay, this is a good one. One of the strategies is make believe. What if? Make believe. So children can learn new ways of saying or do something if they practice using role play. Role play with puppets, or my my grandson and his little friend, they like to play that they're the parents and his younger brother is their baby. And I hear some of the stuff they say, it just brings such joy to me. What it make believe is, it's rich in collaborative dialogues and development enhancing consequences. So it's a powerful tool for building self-regulation because children, not adults, set, negotiate, and follow the rules. When children are playing or working on something, they often engage in what's called private speech. This kind of self-talk is spoken aloud, but it isn't intended for anybody else to hear. It's a key part of developing skills in cognitive self-regulation. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Learning is helped by repetition. It doesn't have it doesn't have a lot of glamour. Repetition is not glamorous. What is important to remember is that it takes at least 27 consecutive days to establish a new habit. The more you repeat an activity and practice it, the more you will retain it. And this is true for children. Stress management skills require practice before they can be used comfortably. You may need to teach a strategy a number of times. It may take 27 days of teaching the strategy before it becomes a success. This next concept, help children find solutions. It's easy for us to jump in and save the children, but we need to let them suggest possible solutions, and help them think them through. Give them some precursors. Maybe you'd like to relax for a little bit, and let them say how they'd like to relax. Yeah, I want to get my blankie. I want to, sit on the couch for a minute. I want to lay on the grass and look at the sky for a little while. By learning to think things through and make decisions to help themselves, children learn valuable skills that enable them, to deal effectively with problems if they solve them themselves. Role model, role model, role model. Children work best or learn best when practitioners, educators, moms, dads, grandmas, aunties, and uncles uh, use their best self in role modeling. So set an example. Use these strategies yourself. Try using your own private speech aloud as you problem solve during your day. So an example might be, oh dear, Grandma has lost her keys again. I feel so frustrated when I lose my keys. That's not a lie. I lose my keys and I lose my cell phone. So if I'm able to role model to the children, gee whiz, I've done it again. Next time, I'm going to have to learn how to put my keys and my cell phone in the very same place after I've used them. So again, using private speech to problem solve gives them an idea as to how to utilize it themselves. Okay, planning. It's about timing, right? Careful planning when introducing activities is helping and establishing times. Usually times where a child can predict. When there's predictability and planning into a day, children become very, very successful, and that brings to them copious amounts of self-esteem. So plan ways of engaging the children when introducing a new strategy, and get your timing right, be it chronological in a day, or when you're doing exercises or activities that they know what to do. And integrate all of this information along with what you're already doing, what's right. And I know many of you are doing a fabulous job. So take a little of this, take a little of that, and make it your own. Thank you for listening to me today, and make sure you go on the Town of Devon's website for some of these valuable tips, tip sheets. And video number 3 is it's called Parenting Styles, and it's by Dr. Jean Clinton. I just adore her. The way in which she speaks is so real. I've had the opportunity to have many conversations with Dr. Jean Clinton, and I'll tell you, you will enjoy her video. So bye-bye for now. I'll see you in the next segment.